Hi everybody, welcome back to another Freelancer Finance update. FUV and PayPal have decided to continue their trajectory down, and so let's talk about it. And obviously, we have our Neo Volta video, so I'm going to include a link up there. We also have a discussion with Lee from LGN Investments on his channel, so I'll include a link up here and down there as well for Lee's video. All right, so let's talk about PayPal. We're sitting at $187.05. Market cap is around $220 billion. The PE is 45 at this point. And what else is of interest? Apparently, we're still overvalued. So that's what Yahoo thinks. And chart patterns bearish. If you didn't know, it's looking bearish. Okay, just and that's the update. No, okay. So this is going to be a quick video. There's really not a lot of news except the fact where we headed. And in my last video, I just want to bring up. It's interesting where we are right now, that we're at the bottom of this orange trend. I didn't even think we would see that this fast, honestly. Like, I'm shocked the way it just dropped. But the fact that we're here is, to me, are we closer to the bottom? To me, the bottom is probably 180 bucks because there's a lot of support in this region. Is it possible we touch it? Absolutely, because if the market's bearish and everything is selling off like it is today, of course we can touch it. But are we closer to this bottom than we are to this top? That's the question. So if I'm just to do a simple ruler, let's say we are here at 200 bucks, 202 bucks, and I go down here, we are 10% away from $183, like the bottom, quote unquote, the bottom for me. I'm not saying this is the absolute bottom. We don't know. A stock can drop and drop and drop until they come out with better numbers, and then it starts to recover or some good news. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out, that I was discussing this $183 that we can hit it. And I did have a buy order. I did another call option. I bought more shares. Maybe I'm a glutton for punishment. I don't know. We'll find out in the next year. This is not one of those plays that is supposed to be happening over the next couple of weeks. This is meant to be multi-years of me holding PayPal and expecting a double, basically. I'm not buying PayPal in order to have a 10x. I don't think anybody is at this point. But to keep your money safe, to compound at around 18 to 20%, and by 2025 to have over a double, maybe even a triple at this point if it keeps dropping, that it seems like a great return. So as I said, this was the monthly chart. Let's go back a little bit in time once again. There's a lot of people who did not watch my previous video probably, and maybe they're here today watching this. But this is the monthly chart of PayPal. Well, going all the way back to, I believe, 2016. Here we are in 2015. Okay, so as you can see, this is the monthly chart of PayPal, and it goes all the way back to 2015. Probably when it split from eBay at somewhere in July 2015. And basically, it's been on this massive tear over this last six and a half years. And it's rarely dipped below this orange trend line. And most of the time, it's in between these green lines. So at this point over here was actually March 2020 when it fell down. And it started dropping even before that. So February was already sort of weak. And then March took everybody down. So now let's go to where we are today. If we look at the monthly, this is still the monthly. As I discussed in the previous video, we had touched my support line of like 184 bucks or so. I think it went to 183, but it doesn't have to be exact. It's around 184, $185. So I guess my call was right. I'm super happy about it because I got to buy more PayPal, or I'll be very upset about it later. Are we done bleeding? I don't know if we are, even though PayPal right now is hanging at around $187. It doesn't mean it's over. It doesn't mean I'm going to stop DCAing. I did go pretty heavy, to be honest, between 200 and 180 here. So it's not like I am looking forward to keep buying PayPal, because at some point you run out of money. But I'll have to figure it out, because the next stop up, if you look at this whole section here, the next stop up is $175. That's our next stop. And if it just keeps going, this line right here, this is the 50-month moving average. So can it go down to like 160? You know, there's a little bit of activity here. I wouldn't say this is crazy support. So obviously, if it's dropping below 175, and that's all of this support, I would say it's not looking good. Like, it's pretty bearish. Like, if it doesn't hold 175, we have a problem. I would say a big problem. Does that mean that I won't buy? Once again, I am going to buy. I'm a glutton for punishment. And if I see a good deal that I think is worth it, I will keep buying. So the only other time I see real support besides this 150, 160 level, really, and this sort of 50-week moving average is right here. And that is pretty low. Like, honestly, that is like $115 to $122 range. I think most people would be pretty shocked to see that happen. But you know what? It is possible. Anything is possible if the market is turning. But I'm going to make a prediction that we will not get this far down. And having said that, I'm not gonna guarantee anything. This is not financial advice, of course. But to get this far down, that means some bad macro things are happening. That PayPal is being super discounted because it's already being discounted. And it's already not pricing in some growth happening. At this point, actually, I would say it's fair value. It is not underpriced. It is not the best deal in the market, but it is fair value at $180 or $185. So anyone who's not buying it today and looking for a better deal, it's possible you'll get it, but you are buying it at fair value. And the expectation, at least my expectation, is that at some point when we do reverse, wherever that is, let's say 175, let's say 160, whenever it is we reverse, then if we're back in this trend, and PayPal's been in this trend for 6.5 years. So I'm just looking at the history of it. Once again, I am not a magician here. I am not doing anything else besides looking at the history of PayPal and where it likes to hang out. All right. We're back in this trend. And I'm assuming by 2023, the beginning of 2023, that we are probably around the $400 and $40 mark. This is the midpoint. And if we're at the bottom of this, then we are at $340. So to me, the lower this goes, the more I get, because I think it's going back to this $330 minimum. That's where I think it's going over the next 2 years. So when I have a January target here, it doesn't mean it has to be by January, obviously, but basically in this window, that's sometime between January or the whole year that plays out, because 12 months is a long time, but I do expect it to go over $300. And if it does that, once again, this is not your 10x. You're not risking a lot. This is not buying FUV, a very good food company. This is a solid growth beast, 18% revenue growth yearly, and it's estimated to move forward from there. So I don't see how anyone who buys PayPal at these prices will end up eventually losing. As long as you're willing to hold it and you're willing to wait, you should be rewarded. And that reward is not going to be your 10x. It's going to be a double. Let's face it. It's just going to be that. And to me, that's okay, because not every dollar I have is supposed to be speculated on. Some money I just want safe. So in the future, I get a nice return. Not quite a dividend stock. It's still a growth stock, but it is, to me, a safe bet for the future. So those are my final words on PayPal, that it hit my target. I bought a call, I bought some shares, and next target is 173 if it hits there. And I'll probably have to go in a little bit more. Good luck to everybody buying a falling knife, because that's what it is. Okay, and Arcimoto now. Let's discuss Arcimoto and FUV. So it has done it. It has finally reached, after me talking about it for months, and you can go back to the videos. Maybe I'll include a link up here and down there. I've been saying it has to break $10, and it's probably going down to around 8, maybe 7. And it looks like it's broken it today. We'll see if we stay there. Market cap is now 373 million, so we're under the 400 million. It's a bearish time for FUV. I don't think it's going to do well in the next couple of months. So I would say, even if you wanted to buy it, you should probably DCA, and you shouldn't go full force into it. And we have plenty of videos discussing that. So the monthly chart is right here, and you can see the trend it was in. I'm going to go to the daily to show you that it sort of dipped below here. But this is where we're in. We're coming up to a wedge here, which we discussed already on a previous episode, a long one. So this is a little bit shorter. And that it's, I'm assuming it'll collapse on itself, and it go down to between $7 and $8, somewhere in that range. That it seems like where the support was from many moons ago, maybe last year already. Yeah, this was in the 2020s. The daily is good to look at, and this is important because we have broken underneath this trend that I've been showing already for months, that we are now a little bit under it. Like $10.30 was really our breaking point, or $10.20, somewhere around there. So now it's underneath it. It doesn't mean it has to stay there. Look, if things turn around, we're back in here and we can still go to the moon, obviously. But I don't see how things do turn around. I hope I'm wrong, because you guys know I'm holding a bunch of shares. But the simple fact is I don't see how it's going to turn around. And if we're not turning around, then really we're going down, and down she blows basically to $8, $7, somewhere in that range here. And that's the point I'll probably DCA back in, probably at around 850, start coming in, go much heavier at $7 or 750, somewhere in this range. And if we go back to the history of this thing, if it doesn't hold between this range, and then FUV decides to dilute us here, well, guess what? There is nothing stopping us to go back down to like $5. I don't know if people should be sad or happy, obviously, because if you had enough FUV and you wanted it to go to the moon, well, now it's not going there, I think. So this is the chance to dollar cost average in again as it drops. But we do have to watch and make sure that they are selling their vehicles. They're increasing the production. They're building their factories, that they have fleet orders, like all these things that we should be watching that are happening all next year, because that's important. If it's not happening, then honestly, we should be worried as investors. But if it is, then this is just the growing pains of a small company that it has to go through. They're going to dilute us. That's going to happen. The stock might drop, but it might only be an opportunity. So if it hits $5, I'm not saying it will, but if it does, and if it's hitting all these targets, like, and it's getting the ATVM loan, and it's growing, and it's building its factories, and more vehicles are coming off the line, and they have more orders and pre-orders, I consider those bullish things. So I'm actually going to DCA. You guys do what you think is best, of course, for yourself. But if those things are happening, I get more bullish. If they're not happening, I become more bearish on it. And definitely, I think we have a good 6 months to a year of just accumulation time and seeing what FUV does. All right, everybody, that was a short little episode. Good luck, and be careful out there.